Is there a difference between faith and belief? We believe a lot of things, but would we say we have faith in a lot of things? I think this is an important conversation that as we dig deeper beneath the surface of the skeptic and the theist and the devoted follower of Jesus, there's actually quite a spectrum here. But I think this distinguished fact between faith and belief is super important. And I am a fan of my buddy Justin, who recently just put out a new book. Justin used to be the face of a channel called Unbelievable, and he put this video up, and I wanted to give him some love and also highlight this. What's the difference between faith and belief? Go ahead and play this.
What's the difference between belief and faith? We created this huge swinging pendulum using a bucket with rocks in it to show the difference. The laws of physics state that when released, a pendulum will never swing back further than the point it was released. Now we can also...
Now, did you know that? I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
The laws of physics say that the pendulum will never swing back further than where it was released from. So if it's released on one side here, then it won't ever swing past here on the other side. I did not know that. So I just learned something about physics. But it makes sense, though, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? So he is going to use this illustration in the youth group to drive home the point that faith is not the same as just believing that fact about physics. Watch this.
Say we believe that, but what happens when we put ourselves on the line? My son Noah tested the law by releasing this huge pendulum from his chin. Now, would you be tempted to dive out the way as it came swinging back? Noah stayed.
What would you do?
If I really trusted the law of physics, I'd send it.
You just stand there.
Oh yeah.
Would you flinch?
No.
You wouldn't flinch.
No. If he told me that it's gonna work that way, because I send it. If someone tells me, if they're like trustworthy and they're a teacher, and like I'm just like, I have no reason not to believe you. But if it was like you, oh bro, I heard that like it won't come back and hit you in the face. I'd be like,
I heard.
yeah.
I heard.
I saw a TikTok.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is a TikTok that we're watching right now.
Yeah, I'm saying if I was that guy standing with that guy.
If that was your father and your father said, this is the law of physics.
And my father was a scientist of some sort. Is he a scientist?
I mean, he's not a scientist, but he's relatively educated.
Yeah. I would trust him.
All right.
I'd send it. You wouldn't? You're moving a little bit.
Someone brought up an interesting point. They said if you pushed it slightly, it would surpass the origin. Only if you literally release it without input.
Yeah,
so you have to just let it go. You can't push it.
I would also struggle with the idea of like, what if even when he released it, he was standing up really straight, and then when he dropped it, his body leaned forward a little bit. So you still get got a little bit unless you continue to stand up straight.
Let's see what happens.
in place. He didn't
Oh, that wasn't
just
scary at all.
It doesn't
believe
even come
that law
close.
of physics. He had faith. He was willing to trust
Wait. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried in the slightest.
He
I thought
wasn't
it was gonna come back to like here
No.
or something.
his life on it. That's the difference. Faith isn't just believing something in your head, it's about living that belief out. If you believe that God is real and put you here for a purpose, then faith is when you actually trust your life to him. Follow me for more Thinking Faith and get my audiobook free in my bio.
So what I love about that is, again, we looked at this earlier in
We got.
in
We just got an ad. We just watched an ad.
in Hebrews chapter 11, right? Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. So you do not see the bucket and where it's going to come back to, but you have hope and assurance in it that you're willing to stand there. And if you're wrong, that thing could potentially smack you in the face.
Yeah.
But yet, his son stood there. He stood there because he had faith. He had confidence in his father. He had confidence in the laws of physics. It wasn't an irrational faith. It was a reasonable faith.
Yeah.
To hold on to the reality that based on all the variables, it is a reasonable conclusion for me to stand here and this is not going to knock all my teeth out.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So I think when we look at faith from this lens, it makes it less like mystical and like woo-woo.
Yeah.
And makes it more, because when you get into like new age spirituality,
They're like, we do the same thing.
Yeah, you get into like manifestations and like The Secret.
You believe in a God.
Right.
I believe in stars.
Right. I believe in energies, right?
Yeah.
It starts being very much like wishful thinking
Yeah.
vibes, where I feel like what we're describing here, it's not the same as a science experiment, right? Faith in Jesus is not the same as a science experiment where you could do this plus this get you this. You could test it under a microscope. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that. That's certainty. You know, if you put these two chemicals together, you'll get this result. But it is, I would say, closer to a reasonable conclusion that you can come to, but you have to stand there, whether like sitting in a chair, like doing this experiment. And so anyway, I appreciated Justin putting this together because I was like, man, this is a good conversation to be having. What is faith? Faith is confidence. Confidence is not necessarily certainty.
Yeah.
But the more you place your confidence in something, the more you walk through the process of something, the more certain you become on the other side of it, right? And so it's like, I'm confident that my wife is faithful to me because I have a backlog of her consistently being trustworthy. And
But you don't track her every single day.
say it again.
But you don't track her.
Yeah, I don't
every
track her
single day.
location every day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there's enough of a framework that I know that there is enough there for me to reasonably conclude that my wife is trustworthy and faithful. And I think a relationship with Jesus is the same way. There's enough there. Once you start implementing God's ways, you start living by God's word, you start applying the confidence spectrum, the certainty comes on the other side of living out God's ways, and the peace, joy, love, goodness that you experience on the other side of following Jesus. That's where I kind of feel like, and it goes on to explain all of this in Hebrews chapter 11, which like extra credit points. If you guys want to go above and beyond, I would read the rest of Hebrews 11 because it's they call it the Hall of Faith. It's fire. It's one of my favorite chapters in the Bible.
Wow.
We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.